Hi, my name is Ryan Coleman, and I am somebody.
What's up, Ryan? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain.
I love that. So tell me, who is Ryan Coleman?
Ryan Coleman is a unapologetic, thought-provoking leader and visionary with the sole purpose of assisting individuals cultivate balance within their mind, body, and spirit so that ultimately they can sustain, surpass, succeed through this marathon we call life.
That was really beautiful. It seems like you've been thinking about that. You've been preparing for that question your whole life, haven't you?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I really felt it was important for me to like carry like that mission statement, and use it as like an affirmation as well, on a consistent basis, so it comes second nature now.
Yeah. Do you find yourself telling yourself that often? The mission statement to remind yourself who you are?
Yeah, I definitely tell myself the mission statement, and that's something that I constantly rehearse, but also just affirmations in general, and one of the best things that I've started doing as of recently is like every single morning I wake up listening to positive affirmations, as I'm brushing my teeth, getting myself ready, in essence, kind of doing mirror work as I'm, sitting and reciting those affirmations to myself.
That's big.
Yeah.
I mean, they say you become what you think.
Yeah.
So even to start yourself off with, okay, let's say these positive things so I can be positive as a byproduct of what I'm putting into my mind.
Yep.
So what is it that you do?
So I describe myself as a wellness coach / facilitator, but I'm also, formally known as the owner of Omni Fitness LLC, which is a wellness brand that's based off of, 6 pillars of wellness, being mind, body, spirit, environmental wellness, social wellness, and emotional wellness as well. So we currently have a physical gym location, and that more or less kind of served as the foundation, because when we climb our ladder of well-being, it first starts with physical, then it goes to mental, spiritual, and financial, at least in the sense of Omni Fitness. And then also we have a holistic wellness facility where we do various events. It's open for various wellness facilitators who may not have their own space and want to facilitate a small intimate event, yoga workshops or, meditation classes, even like recording like a podcast or something like that.
That's hard, for real. What caused you to get in that wellness journey?
Man, it was really like my journey with self, like I had always been a athlete, I was always, pretty fit and all that. But I found myself back in 2015 kind of hitting like one of the lowest points in my life, like it was really, I had to have one of those moments where, I looked myself in the mirror and I kind of started to let myself go, and it didn't seem like that's who I was. So I literally told myself that day, like, this isn't you. And that's when I started my fitness journey, which ultimately led to me joining the military, where I kind of, got the discipline and mental fortitude, and, also got time to really like put my body back together. And it was really a combination of that really got me to the point of like, okay, like this, I'm back to me, but I want to be able to inspire others as well, because I know that I'm not the only one that goes into these dark places that, it feels like there's no way to get out, so I really wanted to use my own personal story and experiences to kind of ignite that same feeling and passion within others.
No, that's big too, because I agree. Sometimes when you hit those lowest moments, it can show you who you really are.
Yeah.
And in those moments, it's like, man, I know that I can't be the only person who goes through that.
Yeah.
But it's also big to acknowledge that, and also to create a plan on helping others get out of it afterwards.
Right.
So in creating that plan, and after being in that dark space, what would you say really motivated you to turn that help to others after helping yourself?
Man, it really stemmed from, like I was doing my own thing. At first I always kind of shied away from being a leader, even though I was kind of naturally a leader. But once people started messaging me and affirming me, and they're like, man, what you're doing is really inspiring me. It was one of those things I didn't even think twice about. But the more and more people that got to telling me that, even from just a physical level, I was like, okay, I got something special here. So that from there, I just pretty much took it and leveraged it with my full story and let people know that, the me taking time to get my physical in check, really allowed me to get in my mind and really take time to dive into my mental health, which is, to me, the bigger picture of it all. Because I was experiencing a lot of things from whether, emotions or whatever the case may be, that I didn't necessarily know what was going on. As a black man, we're constantly taught we can't cry, we can't necessarily express emotion and stuff like that. So I was just so hard, and that wasn't who I naturally was. So within that, I feel like, I was able to become my most authentic self. And it's like, again, just wanting, to put that on to others.
How did it feel when you finally accepted that? Like, to stop running from your most authentic self and say, nah, that's me.
Man, freedom. It really felt like true freedom. Like, I felt like my whole life I was really portraying an image of somebody that really wasn't me. I do have extroverted tendencies, but I'm not the life of the party. I'm more the one that's kind of sitting in the corner observing. And my whole life I was just playing that role because I just wanted to have friends. I wanted to be the cool kid. I wanted everybody to know me. But I never felt full. I never felt fulfilled. I always felt empty. It always constantly felt like I was chasing something. So the moment that I was able to really detach and let that go, it was a true moment of like freedom.
Man, freedom. I think that's what most people strive to maintain or to obtain in this life.
Yeah.
If you had some advice for anybody trying to get freedom, what would you tell them?
Man, dang, that's a good question. Man, really the best thing that you can do when trying to obtain freedom in this world is be the most authentic, unapologetic version of yourself, and, be a physical expression of that on a day-to-day basis. No matter what anybody else thinks, what anybody else has to say, at the end of the day, like, life is really just perspective, right? So just because my perspective might not align with, yours, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. I'm perfectly fine. It's okay to be weird, if that's what people think. But usually people only use the term crazy or weird when they truly don't understand something.
That's big. That's big for sure. What would you say are the 3 biggest things that keep you going in this life?
Resiliency, first and foremost. I always say, resilience comes second nature to me, and I think that that's just for the sole fact of, all the adversity I had to go through to get to this point, but also seeing it as something that, this adversity isn't happening to break me. I'm not taking, losses, I'm just learning lessons along the process. So definitely resiliency, discipline. Discipline is I would put discipline and consistency in the same field there, just because I feel like they go hand in hand. But man, I tell people all the time, there's a lot of days I wake up, I'm not inspired, I'm not motivated, but I'm disciplined within my routines. I'm disciplined within, knowing what I have to do and, simply being able to execute off that. So rather than relying on inspiration and motivation, it's just that discipline and consistency. And then last, man, I would say love. And I really would say that because I feel like that's something that I didn't used to express as much as I do now. I felt like my heart was very closed. I wasn't as open, and people felt that. But it got to a point where I started to realize, like, people really feel my energy. I'm a, powerful person in that sense. So when I walk in a room and I'm coming in closed off, that's people are gonna adapt to that energy. So I wanted to switch that, and be able to walk in a room and everybody be able to feel like that unconditional love that's, just pouring from my heart, and knowing that, I don't want nothing but the best, for myself and, everybody else, and really just not coming from a place of judgment, but instead, coming from a place of compassion.
And that last one is big, especially as a man. It's not something that is looked at as a typical thing to keep somebody going. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the most important thing to keep us going as man and as mankind, period.
Yeah.
Because without love, what are we?
Right.
And without love, what are we doing?
Exactly.
If you had a chance to tell the whole world something, what would you tell them?
Man, so it's three things, right? And it would be to identify and execute. And that goes for anything in life. First and foremost, you got to identify the problem, or you got to identify what it is you want. From there, you're able to develop, that strategic plan, set goals, all that. And then, the third step is execution. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, is that execution and that consistent execution, and just keeping going even when the times are tough. But also within that, not being afraid to pivot, because you can have the tightest plan in the world, but sometimes things just fall apart, and you always got to have that flexibility to be able to pivot and go a different direction if need be.
That is beautiful. You said to identify, to make sure you have a plan, and then to execute.
Yep.
That is very true, because with those three things in that order, you can get anything done.
100%.
I appreciate you for coming to sit down and talk with me. Thank you for just also being a light in this world, and being a great example for men, and not just men, but human beings everywhere, on what it should be to live a life fulfilled and to live a life based around people to love.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. Thank you.